63. Gaming is addictive. Play responsibly. Not for persons under the age of 18. Shabiki.com is authorized and regulated by BCLB. License number BK 0001080.
Sioni kama kuna haja tuendelee kwa mzigo kwenu. Ma, ondoka.
Hapana.
Would you have wanted to have a younger brother?
Why would you ask me about having a...
His adult life running to nearly 45 years, fighting for the rights of the unheard. The outpouring of grief from within Kenyan borders, the African continent, and globally told the story of Odinga's impact.
A week later, so much has changed in the national psyche of Kenyans. We have in those short days deteriorated to name-calling, hate, claims of superiority, and indeed, emerging competition on who best understands Raila Odinga's legacy and his dying wishes. Those in ODM, Raila's party for 20 years, cannot agree on what exactly Odinga wanted or said about the future of the party. Each politician believes they heard or understood Raila better than the other.
But perhaps Raila's legacy is more about what he attained than what he said. We say this because words spoken, if not recorded accurately, can always be distorted. How about taking stock of Raila's legacy and possibly use it to define how the country moves on from here? We begin by appreciating what Raila Odinga went through, eventually becoming the first Kenyan statesman to be conferred the title Chief of the Golden Heart of Kenya in death.
Raila Odinga suffered under the one-party state of President Daniel Arap Moi, detained for a total of nearly 9 years without trial, mostly on suspicion of committing public order offenses that were never verified. His endurance saw him survive detention across 3 episodes, the last one being for simply pushing for multi-party democracy. And today, Kenya is a multi-party democracy and has been for the last 34 years.
Through his suffering, especially for being held for prolonged periods without trial, we now have a constitution that illegalizes such treatment. Article 49 specifically outlines the rights of an arrested person. No Kenyan should be held in police cells for longer than 24 hours without being presented before a court of law. During Odinga's suffering, many Kenyans were eliminated, maimed, disappeared, and many survived with lifelong disabilities. He lived to tell the story and fought for a better Kenya. Today, even though the Kenyan state authorities continue to propagate the same crimes, Raila did his part, including pushing for compensation for victims of police brutality.
In politics, Raila believed in fair elections, even though a victim in several elections that he contested and was denied his victory. His resilience gave us a better Kenya. His repeated election petitions in presidential elections in 2013, 2017, and 2022 tested our judicial system. And even though it may seem as if we are losing the independence of the judiciary, Raila gave us a more transparent electoral process. The nullification of the 2017 presidential election made the presidential election results transmission more transparent and procedural. And on that front, one of his last gifts was the inclusion of different stakeholders in the picking of IEBC commissioners.
The other gift that Raila left us is devolution. For so long, development was a preserve of those favored by the government, the love being measured on political loyalty, usually of elected leaders and by way of presidential votes. Many words for ethnic considerations. Today, the country is organized in 47 devolved units called counties, each led by a local government, elected by the people and resources allocated based on a formula agreed upon by the people's representatives in consult with the people themselves.
Even though the presidential system continues to dangle the carrot for political loyalty, those are just bad manners that Odinga and his generation of patriots sought to defeat. And so, in sum, Raila Odinga fought for us, suffered for us, cried for us, so that we can have a more just country. At a time many wonder what next after Tinga, there should be no more tears, especially the fake ones. The answer is in the Constitution. It defines the path in black and white. To those in positions of authority, implement the Constitution to the letter. Follow it, honor it. Respecting the Constitution is to honor the legacy of Raila Odinga. And this is our joint first word.
Raila was a fighter for justice and democracy all his life. And sometimes I'm taken aback by some people who enjoy the rights Raila has fought for, including political parties. There are those who now lead political parties and abuse Raila Amolo Odinga without knowing that without Raila Amolo Odinga, you would not be leading those parties that you are leading today. They don't know. And I say, woe unto you. I say, woe unto you. There are those who forget the legacy of Raila Amolo Odinga. We have the Constitution of Kenya 2010. There are people here today. When Raila was fighting for this Constitution, they said no to that Constitution. I want to remind you that without Raila Amolo Odinga, we will not be having this Constitution. I remember many times when Raila has been tear-gassed and was nearly killed. Therefore, before you open your mouth to talk against Raila, remember what he has fought for and what he has stood for. And today, I want to remind all Kenyans that he was a peacemaker. Raila was a peacemaker. And even today, we can see that Raila can bring Uhuru together, and Ruto is here as president.
And we shall focus on the man, Raila Odinga, the man in life accepted in death, and of course the legacy and what happens going forward. But first we want to talk about the immediate reaction in the wake of the passing of Raila Odinga, his interment on Sunday. And was it even 48 hours before it erupted? Perhaps a wound that in this country has always been, on the surface, but we always put a Band-Aid on it. And I'm talking about tribal politics that erupted first with a statement that was made by the Nyeri governor, Mutahi Kahiga. He, of course, made an apology, tried to explain it, was removed, ejected as the vice chairperson of the Council of Governors. The reactions we saw from the other side were swift and swung so far to the other side and to the left, and has sparked quite a huge conversation at the moment here in the country. And so that is where, ladies and gentlemen, we want to begin our conversation here this morning, that this is something that has really erupted in the wake of that. And perhaps the only way to do this discussion justice is to have what I think is an open, honest conversation about tribe in our country. And I'm hoping that's something we can do here, and we can also do, with those who are watching us, because in many ways we refer to all of this, we use euphemisms, we use all of this community. Let's talk about tribe, shall we? There is a problem. Iko shida kwa Manyata, Linus?
Yes, there is a big problem, and this is Kenya's elephant in the room, ethnicity. And watching the reactions to what Governor Mutahi Kahiga said exposes, in my view, not just outrage, because there are those who are genuinely outraged, but also the hypocrisy of a lot of Kenyans. Because let's face it, you remember the clip that was circulated with the governor of Nyeri speaking? And the one thing that also comes through is he had a recipient audience that was listening to his storytelling as he went on saying really bad things about Raila Odinga. And I was looking at that clip and saying, why is the whole clip sounding this way? It is because of years of socialization in this country that socializes people to think that it is okay to think of your tribe first. At the ethnic level, we are really, really inward looking. But the other tragedy is, throughout the history of this country, we've done so little to confront the ethnicity question. We offer, what can I call it, solutions and proposals that are not very genuine. When we have an organization like the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, how much has it achieved in tackling this ethnicity question? Yet, in my view, Tim, and we speak here as 5 tribes around the bench, 5 united tribes, that there is a problem and we need to fix it. And there are problems at 2 levels. Yeah. There is a first level problem, in my view, of an ethnic rivalry that was planted at independence, actually shortly after independence, which I think the closest we've come to addressing it was in the election of 2022, when there was a joint ticket of Raila Odinga, a Luo, and Martha Karua, a Kikuyu. There's never been that kind of a ticket, to the best of my recollection. There is a serious issue of historical rivalry between the Kikuyu community and the Luo community. And the nerves are very raw when it comes to elective politics, especially presidential politics. Why is that? It's because of 1969. In 1969 was the 3rd year now of the liquidation of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga by Jomo Kenyatta, a Kikuyu. And 1969 had a number of events that really just destroyed relations. That, ironically, it's the Kikuyu and the Luo that were in KANU, the party that led the country to independence. They were together. But came the parting of ways between 1966 and 1969. In 66, there was the assassination of Tom Mboya on the 5th of July, 1969, by Nashon Isaac Njenga Njoroge, who shot the late Constitutional Affairs Minister in Tom Mboya Street. And then in October, there was the opening of the Russia Hospital, which is called Nyanza General Hospital, which was opened by President Kenyatta. And of course, the tensions that had built over time because of the assassination of Tom Mboya, spilled into this event. And there is the marginalization of the party that was called the Kenya People's Union by the government. So in a way, the year 69 saw the first confrontation of an ethnic state and an ethnic competition. That's between the Kikuyu and the Luo. It got even more complicated when oathing was now started to be implemented in central Kenya, where members of the Kikuyu community were invited to Gatundu, the home of President Kenyatta, to take an oath to defend the presidency. Under the presidency should not leave the house of Mumbai. That was the oath. And this oath was conducted as per historical accounts by the inner circle of the former president. The inner circle that included his former, that time his bodyguard, Arthur Wanyoke Thungu. So it said that it was in the presidential escort quarters that the oathing was taking place, and the community was swearing that leadership would not leave that community. There is, I mean, it's been many years since independence, over 50 now, and the country has moved on. A lot of...
Has it?
A bit, because you have young people who have absolutely no idea what 69 was all about. But every election, you will get these sentiments being expressed. And a relatively young politician last election actually invoked 69.
Yeah.
And the oath that, hey, we took an oath not to vote that way. This oath needs to leave the country's political space. And when you look at the effort that President Uhuru Kenyatta put in the last election, sometimes I don't know what his thoughts were. I'm just trying to interpret why there was so much effort. Remember, this was the son of the president at the time, President Jomo Kenyatta, and now moving to support the son of the opposition leader that was being ostracized, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. In a big way, if the election had gone the Uhuru way, probably this question of 69 would have been addressed. And so when you listen to the Kahigas, who I'm sure was a young man at the time when this oath was being taken, there are those who are still in that kind of space. And I know some Kenyans think this is a conversation that should not be had, but this is a conversation that should be had so that it can be laid to rest, so that there is some healing and progression, so that you don't have people believe, because in the 60s and 70s, it actually became normal to think of government as a community and to think of opposition as a community. So you think of Luo as the opposition, you think of Kikuyu as the government. These are the bad beginnings that we've had, and they've never been resolved, and they keep popping up. They keep these feelings keep coming up to influence the thinking, influence the campaigns, and also the direction of the country. And this is something that must be faced. We need to heal the rift between the lake and the mountain, because right now there's a flip side. What is happening?
Yeah.
The
lake.
The lake is using this historical realities to justify the next political direction. And you see on the social media some really nasty postings about, oh, those people don't like us. And see how immediately this Kahiga issue was lumped on a community, which is a very, very unfair way of looking at things, because we've had Kikuyu leaders who stepped up very quickly to condemn what Kahiga has said. So it's time we confront these issues, talk about them, so that the next generation of Kenyan voters, young people, this old, evil past doesn't persist.
Yeah, and indeed, you know, just that one statement that brings up clearly an issue that has not been resolved in this country, because just look at the reaction on the other side. When we saw Governor Wanga then saying, you know, we know who you speak, on whose behalf you speak, and to the extent of saying, you know, if you are friends with any of them, then you are our enemies. Some very bold lines that are being drawn in the sand. There is another MCA who says, you know, certain people are not welcome in Bondo, also going to the other extreme,
yeah.
which we must call out. In terms of a reaction, call out by all means what Mutahi Kahiga said, but to go to the extreme and say certain people are not welcome in Kenya, it's 2025. Kenya belongs to all of us, and anybody can choose to go and live in any part of this country that they so wish, do business, live, earn a living, you know, basically live. And so this then just tells us that we have a big problem in this country, and we haven't healed, we haven't talked about it, and it's because perhaps we don't. Now, if it is that, I don't know, and I suppose we can't try to prescribe what those solutions are from the 1969 oathing and many other things that emanated from that, including the Siasa Mbaya, Maisha Mbaya. We know, you know, where that came from and its roots in that. And, you know, Jay, then it's not just about the mountain and the lake, because there's a bigger tribal question in this country. It fans out from that. That's been the most dominant narrative since independence. But we have a very big question about tribe, ethnicity, entitlement, discrimination, certain people not feeling part of, you know, the country, the center.
Yvonne, this, from my assessment, has been as a result of failure of leadership right from the start. Because at the onset, we ought to have promoted what we would call positive ethnicity. However, the political leadership in this nation decided that they would be using the issues around tribe and ethnicity as a preservation to their hold of political power, because with that you are able to galvanize your people so that they look up to you and they believe and agree that whatever it is that you tell them is gospel truth. But as a people, we've also played our own part, because we cheer these politicians and political leaders when they retreat to such retrogressive remarks. It was very evident when the Nyeri governor spoke, there were people who cheered and clapped. And similarly, when Governor Wanga and her team in Kisumu made those remarks, there were people who were happy and cheered about them and welcomed those remarks. So apart from just the political leadership failing to read the room, we as a people are also as guilty as charged for the particular offense of cheering on these politicians and making them feel that these sentiments resonate with the public, and therefore they enhance their way in spewing them. I must also say that what our politicians constantly do is campaign. And each has a political base, and this political base is always largely based on your ethnicity. And therefore, whenever there's something that is happening and you feel you need that base that will anchor you, then you retreat to it. We must change that, because like you rightfully said, when somebody says certain people are not welcome somewhere, some will tell you that on the number of days we were in Bondo, it was not only people from Bondo mourning Raila Amolo Odinga. There were people from all walks of life, from the farthest corners of this country. And they came there and were genuinely mourning a leader and a statesman. So when you try to imply that when certain people say certain things, then they're not welcome, then what are you trying to say to the mourners who came voluntarily because of the pain and the love that they had at that particular time. So I think ours is a problem that is largely brewed by the political class, because tribalism helped them to have that grip of the political power. Then us as a people, we cheer them on, so we are the fertilizer. We are the manure that makes them think that it is okay to spew such kind of retrogressive remarks, and also to stand in national podiums and fail to read the room and say things that I doubt they would say if it befell on one of their own.
Yeah. Yvonne, on the same thing, you know, it's great to have an identity. You know, you say, I have a culture, I have a belief system, I have an identity, I know where I come from, I can name my grandfathers up to the 15th one. And it's great that you know where you belong. But I think we misuse it almost every single day. We misuse that ethnicity. Because I remember, and I was reading an article on March 18th, 2008, Raila Odinga, who was the Prime Minister, that he was former Prime Minister Raila Odinga in 2008, it was right after the 2007-2008 post-election violence, addressed the House. And he spoke out against this politics of deep-rooted ethnicity and tribalism and division. And he said this, he said, when he was contributing, he said, at the moment, we know that if you're going to attend an interview, you have to look at the panel that is going to interview you for employment. If you are a Mutua and you do not see a Kamba in that panel, then you have no confidence that you will be hired. If someone said that his name is Wanyama, that already would register some bias in someone else's mind. If it is a Kamau, one already knows that is not the person they were looking for. At the end of it, people say that we are looking for merit. What sort of merit are you looking for? You know very clearly that your mind is already very biased and you're not a Kenyan. The person belongs to the Kenya of yesterday, not the Kenya of today and tomorrow that you want to develop. We misuse it, Yvonne. It bothers me when we have an elected leader who's been accused of corruption, for instance, and he's been summoned to EACC. And he comes with this whole crowd of people who say, kama ni mwizi wetu. Anaonewa. But he's been brought there because charges are being leveled against this person. An investigation is going on. Something has been seen or found, whether it's political or not. Why don't you let whatever the constitution and the laws run its course? So when you go there and unaitana mwizi wetu, you are justifying, you are condoning whatever ill this person has done just because maybe you speak the same language. That's number one. Number two, I come from a tribe where we even have issues with clans. Yes. When you say you're Somali, and I'll say this in Somali, you ask, Somalia at Katahai, who are you in Somali? What is your clan? And I remember we used to say Sijui. So we were labeled Somali Sijui, or the ones from Kenya, because they don't know where they come from. Yeah. But then you talk about the young people, millennials of now, and someone told me very recently, they asked me, do your children speak the language? I say, yeah, they understand it. And then they told me, maybe some of the issues we have with ethnicity would be finished in one way or another by this generation who don't understand their mother tongue. Ambao hawaelewi lugha yao ama hawazungumzi, and maybe they are the ones who will change things. I don't know if that's true or not, but this ethnicity has permeated into the very fabric of who we are as a people, and not in a positive way. I met someone at an international conference, and people introducing themselves and talking about where they come from, what their traditional foods are, whether they have a language, and somebody saying my traditional food is this, or we have a language, we have this culture. And this gentleman started crying because he didn't have that. He comes from a generation of slaves. So he says, we don't have an identity. I cannot pinpoint what our traditional food is, or whether we were naming children in this way, or whether our weddings are conducted this way, because we didn't have that. Yeah. So it's amazing, and it's great to have an identity and to understand where you come from, and you have this belief system, but we should not misuse it. In fact, it's something that should be bringing us together, because you would want to learn about what the other person's culture says about this and that. Right. During weddings, this is what we do. During funerals, what we do. It was interesting for us to watch how Raila Amolo Odinga was being buried, and what the culture says, and why it was Dr. Oburu Odinga who had to be the first one to come to the home to officially declare that, yes, someone has died in this home. Yes. And we had a lot of questions for you, JB, about what that was. So rather than letting this culture alienate us, you should let it bring us together and learn about what agriculture stand for and what they are.
But yet that's not what we saw and witnessed, even on social media. There's been lots of, honestly, to an extent that is absolutely despicable. Why do you eat at funerals? Why does it take so long? Rather than having this taking this observant stance for, let me see what you do, let me understand why you do what you do. It's different from the rest, that is fine. My question to you, Sam, is this who we are? I'm sorry, let's just have Sam just weigh in. Is this who we are? Let's just admit we have a problem, all of us, leaders, politicians, Kenyans, because that was not just happening with Mutahi Kahiga, with Gladys Wanga, with the other MCA. It's happening on social media. We're saying things, nasty things to each other about our culture, our tradition, our tribe, our ethnicity, where we come from. Maybe we're just tribalist and let's just be open.
I think we should not let our political leaders define who we are, because it's been a few weeks of throwing stones. Some are big, some are small. We shouldn't let that happen. We have watched a lot of events globally.
It started with a small stone?
It started with a small stone. Yeah. Let me use the case example of the funeral of Queen Elizabeth in the year 2022. And every person who has a television set, at least in urban areas, was watching that. And you're wondering, how is it all those ceremonies, the lying in state? If you recall, I think it was 1 or 2 years before when the Queen's husband, Prince Philip, died. And you saw where he was buried. Was it inside a church? In the basement?
Yeah.
And people look at that and say, it looks okay. How then do you have an opinion, and a negative one as such, against a fellow Kenyan? I'll tell you this, because it's really disheartening when a leader speaks in their mother tongue, laughing at it, thinking that people don't understand what you're saying. Please, don't hide in ethnicity. Don't hide in the language. A language is a medium of communication. It is not a home. It's just a language. Because what is the name of bread in your language?
Mukate.
Mukate.
Yes.
Mukati.
Mukate.
Everyone else here has a name, but you're referring to the same thing.
Yeah.
Ugali has a name in your mother tongue, Yvonne, and everyone else calls it something. So you're talking about the same thing.
Sure.
I'll tell you a story of, because I think this was the third state funeral for me to cover. After Daniel Moi and Mwai Kibaki, and now Raila Odinga. All of them have been laid in state. They've lied, what is the word?
Laid
in state, yeah.
Yes, have been laid in state.
Lane.
Okay. They lay in state at Parliament.
But that's fine.
Yeah. And when you go there and you're viewing the body, what do you see? What do you see? Do you see the tribe? Do you see the body of the leader who has fallen? Do you see your language in that picture? Let me make it better. As they're being laid to rest in the grave, the digging itself, because most people are buried, apart from those that are cremated or different other rites. How is it prepared? How do you dig? You start from the top, not from the bottom.
You don't dig in Kikuyu?
No, you don't.
Or in Kamba? There's no such thing.
There's no language of digging. It's digging. Yeah. And it's, what is it called? A folk jembe. It is the same.
Something, yeah.
Iko na meno tatu. If it's a spade, it's a spade. And when the body goes down, it goes the same direction. Whether you speak Kikuyu, speak Kalenjin, or whatever else it is. So because all of us will die, including leaders, when you speak the way you do, unataka kutuambia nini? When those that are replying or responding, when they speak the way they do, to alienate people or leaders, what exactly are you thinking? Someone who has been sworn into office using the Constitution that recognizes the diversity of this country and the importance of all the communities and the languages that we use to communicate, with an intention to develop them to an extent that even our national curriculum, the CBE, captures that, that we need to make sure that we also developing those languages through education. So we cannot use that as a foundation of our fighting. At the same time, I think we have to be very careful in how we speak. Yeah. If you have private thoughts, please keep them to yourself. read the room, be sensitive, because even a thief has people who love them. They have a parent, they have a sibling, they have people that care about them. So you cannot go...
They have a tribe.
Exactly. You cannot go speaking the way you do, as if nothing exists. So in sum, I think we need to stop using the tribe as our defense mechanism, because beyond the big tribes that have been problematic since independence, there are others that use that as a defense mechanism, that when you ask questions of accountability, they say, no, you're being tribal. We must deal with these tribal cocoons. It needs to stop being a weapon. It's either we speak the language of we are Kenyans, or we decide otherwise. Yvonne.
Let's take a break here on the program tonight. Much more when we return. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we will also talk about where we go next. Let's take that break. We come back.
Royal Mabati Factory Limited brings you a massive price drop alert. Corrugated in box profile at 396 per meter, brick tile at 456 and Roman tile at 500. Relax at home and enjoy free delivery countrywide. Call us on 0722 638383.
Nunua 300ml Coke, Fanta, Sprite, Crest, Stony au Nobida. Cheki pekelea yellow utume code kwa 40111. Shinda bundles, instant cash ama uwe the next millionaire. This promotion is a game of chance. Terms and conditions apply. Please play responsibly.
Medical statistics reveal that breast cancer survivors need emotional and psychosocial support on their journey. As family, friends, or caregivers of these champions, do not stigmatize or discriminate against them. They need love and support from us. This message is brought to you by Royal Media Services. We care.
Welcome to Homelink Mabati Factory, your trusted partner in roofing. We provide high quality and durable products including box profile, V-tile, prime tile and canopy sheets. Enjoy affordable prices, big discounts and 15 years warranty. Call us on 0794 800 000. Homelink Mabati Factory. We promise, we deliver.
Safari yetu, nuru ya kujenga na kuangaza nchi, nuru ya maendeleo, nuru ya ustawi, nuru ya ubunifu.
Dial *977# or download my Power app to access Kenya Power services fast and easy. Kenya Power, nuru ya Kenya.
Royal Mabati Factory Limited brings you a massive price drop alert. Corrugated in box profile at 396 per meter, brick tile at 456 and Roman tile at 500. Relax at home and enjoy free delivery countrywide. Call us on 0722 638383.
Every Friday, 10 p.m.
Unajua ni kudunda kudojo.
Piga statue. Salam.
Akufa juu, kila mtu hapa ndani kufa juu.
E for the energy.
E for the power.
Say E for the energy. Unaweza niita media messiah Stombora.
Coast Africa's mega hype man, good man.
10 over 10 every Friday from 10 p.m. 10 over 10. Brought to you by Nivea Men Deep.
My choice? Nivea Men Deep Body Lotion with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. And my other top choice for all-day freshness? Nivea Men Deep Roll-On. For 72-hour protection and fragrance with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. Nivea is for skin.
And we're back. The hashtag is NewsGang at Citizen TV Kenya. Thank you for staying with us. We stay on the issue of tribe in this country because quite a few despicable things have been said in the last couple of days on both sides of the political divide. Quite a few despicable things have been said amongst Wananchi in person on social media. But this all came from somewhere. Like, we're trying to sort of trace the genesis of this, Jay. Where do you think this began?
Very well. Yvonne, I'll contextualize this based on what Professor Nyong'o said on Sunday during the burial ceremony of Raila Amolo Odinga, where he said that one of the last tasks that Raila had assigned him was to come up with a paper that would explain the origin of tribalism in Kenya. That Raila had indicated to him that tribalism was a creation of the colonial master, such that the Kenyan people who had previously been known, if you came from, let's say, the Kikuyu community, you'd be called the people from Gikuyu. If you came from Ukambani, it would be the people from Akam. So he said Raila had requested him to do a paper finding out how this came about, the issues around tribalism, and how best Kenya can deal with it. And I think Professor Nyong'o owes us that paper so that we can at least find a way of moving forward and leaving all these issues around tribe and negative ethnicity behind us. Because if it troubled Raila to his deathbed, then we owe it to him as a people to do better and earn a place in the history of this nation as a generation that did away with this tribe thing.
Linus?
Look, Yvonne, we have a problem with the foundation. And it's time we admitted that this country needs to be found afresh. Because our main tool of political mobilization became tribe. And even as politicians condemn Kahiga right now, you've seen that even at presidential levels, you see delegations that are organized along tribe. This delegation from the Kisii region, from the Meru region, Somali region, Maasai, you know, it has become the accepted form of mobilization. And that is a problem right there. Because nations are organized around ideas. We need as a country to make a decision, because there are nations that made decisions along those lines of tribe, and one such nation is Yugoslavia.
Yes,
which was a very big country that for a long time was one of the closest friends of Kenya. Yugoslavia, the ethnic nationalism broke it into pieces. That's why we now have Serbia. We have Croatia, you have Bosnia and Herzegovina, and these are tribes. So, if you remember, I think, was it in the aftermath of the 2017 election, Tuachane, Reketumano by David Ndii, that we split this country and
cruel marriage.
Yes.
Yeah, he called it.
Yeah, so there is that option. But there's also the option of retracing our footsteps and going by just how we function as a country, away from politics. We are a good people that live in harmony with each other. And look at the music festival, for example, that is a national tradition in schools. Look at the cultural nights where we all attend to experience the culture of other communities. We can retrace our footsteps and correct the one problem that we had, and that is lack of an ideological grounding. As we were doing oathing here in the 60s. Julius Kambarage Nyerere was building Tanzania around Kiswahili, one language, around Undugu. You remember Tanzanians call themselves Ndugu. They call each other Ndugu even in bad situations, considering what is happening there currently is not very brotherly.
Right.
But those are their foundations that made them Tanzanians. For us Kenyans, we lacked that glue at the beginning that make us understand what statehood is, what nationhood is. So we have some work of reimagining this country again, and there is an opportunity. There is an opportunity. When the youth came out of the streets last year, remember what they carried? The flag. And they were speaking English. There was something very polished about the demos of 18th June to 25th of June before it all erupted into the violence. And by the way, how did they end? There's a bit of ethnicity that went in as well to just divide them along tribal lines. And we've seen politicians who tell you, no, everyone will go, every Gen Z will go back to their tribe. Look at that. So as we condemn Kahiga, there are a lot of other negative voices that dominate national debate, not just national debate, but national thought on even how the next election will be conducted. It's already, using tribalism as the engine and as the basis of how to mobilize for the next election. So this is an opportunity. Let's have this discussion about tribes.
Yvonne, as we finish, 1 minute.
Yes.
Kenyans, we are kind, generous people. We do a story about a student who has no school fees. These are now people send in wanalipa. We do something about someone who needs help to go for medical care. People show up. People call in. Story haijaisha hewani. We don't ask what's the tribe of that child. When we see an injustice, everyone stands up and shouts and talks about it. Albert Ojwang, when he died, the outpouring of anger and grief was across the country. So when we come together at such moments, we shed off those tribal jackets and coats and suits and dump them and fight for the right thing. And during those moments, we come together as Kenyans, as people who are trying to help someone who needs help, or trying to speak out against an injustice, or you're trying to have a better Kenya, because that's what we all want. And during those moments, we need to remember those moments at the back of our minds when we are speaking out against someone because of their tribe, or when we are shouting, mwizi wetu, kama ni mwizi ni mwizi wetu. So those moments when you come together and do good for someone just because they're a fellow human being, they're a fellow Kenyan, that's the best version of ourselves, we should always remember.
Yeah, I want us to listen to Governor Nyong'o on, what you were saying, JB.
Issue of tribalism. The word tribe came from the colonialist. As far as Kenyans are concerned, we knew people as Jo, Jo Luo, Jo Kikuyu, Jakamba, the people of. And therefore the word tribe is a retrogressive word and concept. Do a paper on the issue of nationalities and the state, the modern state, so that the Central Committee of the party can discuss it and put it before the party as the understanding of the people of the party on tribalism and the death of tribalism and the birth of nationalities are the only progressive concept in democratic times.
Yeah, so as we then decide which way we go as a country, perhaps we just need to have one of those national identities where we say, like the condemnation should be so swift and perhaps not even needed that, a person just knows, oh, I've messed up here, I'm going to resign. Like the calls shouldn't come. Exactly. Where as a nation, we have an identity. We know what we want, what we don't want, who we are. Like that person is pariah status. You go out there to the field in the desert and you now live with the wild because you no longer deserve to be a part of the human race, at least the Kenyan one. And I hope that's something we can do. Jamila, you said we do that in times of education, health and everything, but somehow in politics, seem to remember certain things. I want us to move forward because that's where things go now, which is what happens next. And right after, in fact, I'm sorry, not even right after his burial, while his coffin was lying there on Sunday in Bondo, the clamor for the soul of ODM, the clamor for the future of Raila's legacy, that is what we want to discuss at this moment. And I just want us to take a look at some of that, what happens going forward. I would like us to listen to various people who started to talk about what next and where we go from here, and who indeed will be the one to take us there. Let's start with Winnie Odinga, the late Raila Odinga's daughter.
Your Excellency, our people appreciate you honoring our father. Thank you for standing with us. You should also know, in case you are wondering, I'm ready to come back home, if you are wondering. To all the leaders we visited around the world, I will return personally to thank you. Thank you, Kenya. God bless you all. God bless the Republic. God bless Baba's legacy. Long, the king is dead, but long live the crown.
So on one hand, there is the family and who personally, at least on that level, takes on Raila's legacy. But then on the broader front, national front, political front and governance, it was which way ODM, which way broad-based government. Let's listen to Senator Ledama Olekina.
Before Baba went, he showed us the way. He brought us to the broad-based government. And I want to tell you, that is where we are. And Mr. President, I want to assure you that, you know, we always say that Baba is right. Baba was right when he was alive, and Baba is still right when he's lying and when he's in heaven. Baba will always tell us, go right, and would not question. And I want to assure you, Mr. President, for what you've done for us, we shall remain united to be able to go the way Baba wanted us to go, to remain in the broad-based government. There are challenges ahead, but we are determined.
So before Baba went, he showed us the way. You know, they always say that Baba is right. But now, Baba is right, it depends. Let's listen to the Secretary General of the party.
Baba Raila Amolo Odinga alizungumza wazi mbele ya nchi nzima tarehe 22 mwezi uliopita mbele ya hawa wabunge katika hoteli ya Agile pale Nairobi. Baba aliongea kwa kinywa chake mwenyewe, na waomba viongozi msiingize maneno kwa mdomo mtu ambaye amelala. Alisema yeye mwenyewe, akasema kama chama lazima tujiandae kwa ajili ya uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027. Na wale ambao wanaeneza mambo mengine hapa, Baba alisema, who has told you? Who has told you? Who has told you? Kwa hivyo sisi tutafuata the last standing instruction ya Baba ambaye alitoa chini ya siku 23 ambazo zimepita kabla afariki.
So the Secretary General on that, but the Deputy Party Leader also had this to say.
On March this year, Baba Raila Odinga aliweka kidole kwa mkataba 10 points agenda ambayo ni masuala ya Wakenya. Mheshimiwa Rais, umesaidia ndugu yako vikubwa, lakini Baba atakuwa na furaha sana kule mbinguni kama hiyo 10 point agenda itakamilika vile alikuwa anataka. Na Baba mwenyewe alikuwa amesema tarehe March next year 2026 yale masuala 10 yawe yametekeleza. Kwa hivyo rais, I know you have the ability, I know you have the capability, I know you have the power. Please make Baba happy in heaven.
And then there's the party chair.
We said always that this our father, when he says left, we go left. When he says right, we go right. When he says fire, we fire. The last instruction he left us with, and with a very clear mind. And I remember him speaking at the burial of the late Dr. Phoebe Asio, and he said he made a clear decision to work with you for the stability and unity of the nation inside the broad-based government. That is the last standing instruction that Baba gave us. And as a people and as a party, that is where we will stand.
Okay, so first, before we get into that, Jothurwa means what, Jay?
Jothurwa simply means our people. Our people.
Okay, okay. So rallying our people in terms of the way Baba would have wanted us to go.
Exactly.
Is what they're saying. What's at stake? Because this was before he was buried, before he was put in the ground. But did it start here?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think the battle for the soul of the Orange Democratic Movement Party has been on for the last several months. And I think it started right when Raila Odinga put his heart to the ring to fight for the AUC chairmanship. And therefore, there were certain positions within the party that they decided they would fill in his absence. Then when the likes of Hassan Joho, Chairman Mbadi, and Deputy Party Leader Oparanya moved to government, then the vacancy that was there. Accurate. The problem is Raila Odinga is the glue that held ODM. And like every father would do, his word in the party showed the direction. And that is why you see the scrambling, everybody claiming that he had a last word with him. So if you ask what it has stake, I will say it is the soul of ODM. Maybe after KANU and Ford Kenya, the longest running party in this country, because we've seen instances where since Mwai Kibaki became the president, every subsequent election, the person elected president does not run on the party he was the previous elections. Yeah. But you've seen consistently ODM has weathered this storm. So anybody who has the soul of ODM has a larger bargaining stake in Kenyan political body. And therefore, that is why everybody wants to be seen as that person who had Raila's ear and had Raila's final word on the direction that the party must go to. It is going to be stormy ahead for ODM as a party.
Yeah, and you know, even with that, it is the question as to whether to stay in government or not. So, you know, on one hand, there's what's happening with the party, and we'll come back and talk about, you know, this party and how it moves forward without what you call the glue holding it together. But also about, you know, what happens as in the lead up to 2027 and beyond. Let's listen to Governor Abdul Swamad.
Fika mwaka 2027, baba, mambo ni mawili. Umetufunza ya kuwa kuna njia nyingi ya kuwa kanga. Tunasema hivi, mwaka 2027 hatukai katika upinzani. Mwaka 2027 we will not be in the opposition. Mambo mawili yatafanyika. Agosti tunapiga kura. September we are either in government or we are government.
And he seems to be speaking the same language as President William Ruto.
Ile kitu mimi nataka kuhakikishie kwa mapenzi ya Mungu
ODM will either form the next government or be part of the next government. Ile kitu siwezi kukubali. Ile kitu kwa heshima ya huyu shujaa wetu, ile kitu siwezi kukubali, na nitafanya juu chini, Mungu anisaidie. Ni wale ambao wanataka kung'oa chama ya ODM na kwenda kuchezea karata ya upinzani kule nje. Hiyo haitawezekana.
Okay, just so that we're clear, President William Ruto is the party leader of UDA
and also
and the Kenya Kwanza coalition. He's not in ODM anymore, hasn't been in ODM for a while. So, you know, in what capacity was he speaking? But,
you know,
I'm just checking, unless
he speaks
something
with a
has
lot
changed?
of certainty,
Yeah.
and everyone else does. The governor of Mombasa says that hatutakuwa upinzani tena. I don't know what I just said, because a governor means you lead a government. Tutakuwa kwa serikali, but you're leading a government in Mombasa. So the political class has really messed up the appreciation of Kenyans on the Constitution and how the structure of governance is as per the Constitution. Because you have 48 governments, 1 national, 47 counties. If Governor Abdul Somad wants to ensure that he gets a second term, say it, do it. You're in government, you're running a county, work for the people will decide. If the other leaders also want the same, see as much. When I listen to the president saying that he will work so hard, juu chini, to ensure that nobody plays with the ODM, I'm wondering, is he saying he's going to leave UDA to join ODM and become its leader? Or is ODM and UDA going to merge, either to merge as political parties like happened? It was the political working formula for the Jubilee coalition. Come 2017, they merged into the Jubilee Party. Are you going to see the ODM and UDA merging? Are you going to see them working together as a coalition of Kenya Kwanza and ODM, or is it UDA and ODM? And what would that mean? Listening to the other leaders, I hear Governor Wanga quoting the funeral of Phoebe Asio back in July 2025, slightly under 3 months before Raila Odinga died. And yes, he spoke at length and explained why they came in to stabilize the country, to help the country because the military were on the streets. But at the same time, you find Godfrey Osotsi, the party leader, rather the deputy party leader. In essence, he deputizes Raila Odinga. He is saying that in March 2025, we signed a 10-point agenda. So everyone has the reference point. Osotsi is in March 2025.
Yeah.
Gladys Wanga is in July 2025. Edwin Sifuna is in September 22nd, 2025, what he had Raila Odinga say. Well, Ledama says he doesn't cite a date, but he says that they were left in the broad-based government, and so they will remain as such. It makes me worry, because if the political party cannot agree on what Raila Odinga said to who, at what point, and what it means for the future of the party, how then can they move the party forward? Remember, under the Constitution and the laws of this country, our democracy is managed partly through political parties. Of course, you can run as an independent, but a great stake is under political parties. If political parties have to wait for the word of the former party leader to say or to show them where they should go, what does it say about that party when it comes to structures?
Yeah.
And using structures and the membership to make a decision.
Yeah.
Because we've had political parties calling for national delegates conferences to make a decision on how do we go in 2027. Now, they refer to the small notes they have from the meetings they had with Raila Odinga, depending on where that meeting was and how happy they were with that meeting. I wonder how soon the ODM party will be meeting. The Executive Committee, Central Management Committee, the National Delegates Conference. And when they meet, will they manage to agree on what the agenda is?
Yeah.
If they agree on the agenda, will they agree on what motion should be moved and by whom? Because I see Edwin Sifuna, he spoke and said that even in a situation where you have open provocation, he's going to stand with what Raila Odinga said. Is that minuted somewhere so that we can say, in our previous meeting, which was held on a particular date, members present were this, and these were the resolutions made. What are they going to base that conversation on? Are they also going, okay, was that funeral as part of that meeting so that you can say that...
Will those sentiments be minuted somewhere?
Exactly. So that you say that one of our partners who leads the UDA party also says that they are committed to ensuring that the political party does not disintegrate. Honestly, political parties need to be managed better. And for this specific reason, because I know there are people that will throw small stones and big stones to say that ODM party has its own way of making decisions. Political parties are financed by the taxpayers' money. There's a kitty that is set aside by the National Treasury, actually by Parliament. The National Treasury's work is just to facilitate the payment. The Registrar of Political Parties is one who sends those resources to political parties. So ODM has a responsibility to ensure that those resources financed by the taxpayers are utilized properly to propagate the interest of the nation, not personal interest on how to win the next election, whether you're a president, a governor, a senator, an MCA, or whatever it is. Anything short of that is to defeat the very essence of why Raila Odinga fought so hard to have multi-party democracy in this country.
Yeah, and I want us to listen to the issue of the political parties, because Raila's death comes at, during the 20th anniversary of the party, and it would seem there are murmurs about the party staying together, and who's trying to break up the political party of ODM. Let's listen to Cabinet Secretary Ali Hassan Joho.
The values of the party, the values and the principles of the party zimewekwa katika roho yangu na Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. And I want to tell you, whoever imagines that anaweza kuvunja chama cha ODM, yeye ndio tutamfukuza, my friend, na ahame, chama kitabaki. Tuelewane namna hiyo. Ukijaribu kugawanya chama, ukijaribu kuvunja chama, wewe ndio utafanya nini? Utahama. Atafanya nini? Atafanya nini? The party will be here to do what? To stay.
Let's listen again to the Secretary General of the party, Edwin Sifuna.
Wherever Baba is, what is it that I can say or do that will actually make him proud? What are the things that we should do as the leadership of the party right now to make Baba smile from wherever he is? And in my view, this is not the time to push divisive narratives in ODM. This is not the time. You all know, nyinyi wote mnajua ya kwamba chama cha ODM ni chama cha kila mtu, si ndio? Chama cha Kenya nzima. Na lazima sisi kama viongozi wa chama tuonyeshe umoja ili hawa ndugu zetu ambao ni wanachama wafuate mfano wetu. Nataka niseme hapa mbele yako Baba, ya kwamba chama hiki ambacho umetuachia, mimi Sifuna sitakuwa baadhi ya wale ambao watachangia kuangusha chama cha Raila Amolo Odinga. Baba, because ODM is one of your biggest legacies, Your Excellency Baba, I as Sifuna will do everything in my power to keep this party united and together. Even in the face of open provocation, Baba, you know what I am talking about. You know why I'm saying that.
Why has he said that? He says, you know why I've said that. Why do you think? What's happening here? I mean, there's lots of shadow boxing that's happening here. Iko mtu anataka kuvunja chama, mwingine anasema...
There's no shadow boxing. There is a shouting match. It's a funeral.
Yeah.
The party leader has not been buried, and people are raising their voices.
It would sound like it's a funeral for ODM as well.
Well,
going by those statements.
Yes, and it's as if the speakers are just about to be buried because they are screaming, they are shouting. And you wonder, what is it? What are you shouting against? It's an argument against who? Who are you responding to? I think the tone of the leaders of ODM was really interesting because they appeared to be in a fight. They appeared to be in a contest of sorts. And they leave this for our interpretation. And our interpretation is twofold. One is the scramble for the leadership of ODM has started, because for the last 20 years plus now, Raila Amolo Odinga was the party leader, and the face of the party is now gone, and obviously there's a massive vacancy there. The second struggle that was going on here, I have to reluctantly put this across, it was to catch the attention of President William Ruto. That's the only way I can interpret it. That, look, we are the defenders of the broad-based government. And this is how we sound. Because I cannot explain this tone in any other way, except that now that in the absence of Raila, where does the attention shift to, especially if broad-based, and under the current broad-based arrangement? You could see a number of those speakers there who are on the opposite of Sifuna, were pro-broad-based and pro an arrangement that will go beyond the 2027 election. And then you have Sifuna and maybe James Orengo, who sound like they are for a different approach, a different direction. And the president responded by sounding like the incoming patron. I will not allow the party to go to this direction. I will not allow the party to be taken to the opposition. And some is asking, locus standi, under as who? Is it in what capacity? And some years back, there was a time that the president used to be the the chancellor of all universities. So
maybe he's the chancellor of all parties.
All the parties. If there is a vacancy there, the president will not allow that party to split. It is going to do, God help him, everything to make sure that the party is united. But what is the reason? Why is the president putting everything into the unity of ODM? It is because he is angling to succeed the base of Raila Odinga. It's a very big base, cultivated over 20 years, a lot of loyal supporters. You just need to look at the funeral. The funeral itself is something that politicians can be jealous about. They look at those numbers and they wish people can scream for me like this as long as I'm alive, especially for elections and other things. It is an enviable crowd. Raila had a very loyal support base. And President Ruto is looking at that. And increasingly, he's looking at re-election, 2027. So the math has to include, what do I do with this Raila base that is huge and waiting?
I want us to listen to him saying exactly that, 117, that, will respect ODM.
Because Baba believed in political parties, he built largest political party, ODM. I want to tell you, we will respect ODM. We will support you to hold ODM together. ODM must be strong as we go to 2027, because that is the way we are going to have a strong government. Political parties are the foundations of any meaningful democracy. And therefore, the future of ODM, the strength of ODM, the well-being of ODM matters a great deal to me, because that is how we are going to have a strong nation, by having strong, vibrant, national political parties.
Sam, just for context, you know, the future of ODM means a great deal to him and for strong nations. So he believes in the strength of ODM today. But is that what he thought a few short years ago, a few short months ago? What did he call ODM?
Once
Sam?
upon a time, kulikuwa na chama cha fujo, cha kurusha mawe. And on that point, about foundation of democracy...
Mama, they are here.
Foundation of democracy, strong and vibrant political parties. I've had that before. I want a strong opposition. I've had it. We've covered it. We've discussed it. Remember what? On election, who was the majority party in the National Assembly? It's called Azimio. Azimio Coalition.
Azimio.
Comprising ODM.
Yeah.
There was Jubilee. Then there was a Wiper Party.
Not Kenya, was it?
And others.
Yeah. Who's the majority leader today? Does it come from Azimio?
The majority leader is from Kikuyu, UDA party. Okay. That is Kimani Ichung'wah.
Okay.
At the same time, there's a ruling that was made by the Speaker, and the High Court said it was unconstitutional. It couldn't hold.
Yeah.
Because as the tally was, those were not the numbers.
Right.
They were asked to go and revise. So they went back to the House. They did their interesting things. You will recall just after the AUC contest, when Raila Odinga was seeking to be the chairperson of the AUC Commission. And the decision by the Speaker was no, based on the information available to me and also from the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, Kenya Kwanza is the majority party. Junet Mohammed was very annoyed, also it seemed.
For a short while. Very brief period.
was also annoyed. And she said, yes, there's a broad-based government, but it's not based. It is broad government, but not based. They went to Ethiopia after those sentiments. While in Ethiopia, after the AUC loss, there was a dinner in Addis Ababa. And William Ruto said that if the Gen Z movement yielded the sort of unity we now have, imagine what the broad-based government will do. It will bring a moment for a country that has never been seen before. Why was he saying those things? Because the ODM base was hurting.
Yeah.
How didn't the government grant Raila Odinga a win? To secure the emotions, he made those pronouncements. What did you see? Shortly after, I think the following week, they convened, and we had a 10-point agenda.
Yeah.
The one that Edwin Sifuna showed up in the way he did, and to read a statement and say that he was reading it because he's the Secretary General of the party. And quickly, that became the essence of what we see now. You recall that Raila Odinga came and said that they gave me documents to sign. You remember that meeting at the coast? Yes. They gave me documents to sign. I told them I have to go and consult.
Yeah.
He did a few rounds in the country, came back, and we saw what we saw. I think it was the 7th of March. Things have gone so wrong that at some point, you remember the joint parliamentary group meeting, which was after the funeral of Phoebe Asio. Raila Odinga made the announcement that the following week there would be a parliamentary group meeting, a joint one. Yeah. It went the way it did because it was fireworks. The MPs were very annoyed because they were called extortionists. Yeah. But still, William Ruto, the president, has continued to meet different delegations from different regions in a way to cool down the tempers. And he has actually succeeded. Give it to him as a political master that he is. But now, where we are at this point in time, it's so murky to an extent that you don't even understand what exactly we're dealing with. The president has forgotten that he was in a coalition between UDA, ANC, and Ford Kenya and other political parties, the likes of DP. ANC merged into UDA. Ford Kenya is still hanging in there. The party leader is the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, now promising to protect the largest political party. We have seen what the promise of protecting opposition means. what protecting Jubilee Party means.
Yeah.
Remember, there was a rift in that party.
And
a struggle for many years, up until eventually Uhuru Kenyatta retained the leadership of that political party. I will not be surprised to hear a few months or years from now, ODM may never be the same again. We may never know what hit it.
Yeah,
Yvonne,
yes.
you know, Elina's mentioned what's at stake, and you talk about the future of ODM. There are people in this country who voted for Raila Odinga 5 times, from the first time he ran for the presidency until 2022. And you talked about how his base has grown over that period. By 2022, August, 6,942,930 people voted for the Azimio candidate, Raila Odinga. That was 48.8% of the vote. ODM was Raila Odinga's party for 20 years. The identity of ODM is tied to Raila Odinga. When I was listening to those leaders speaking at his burial, I kept thinking about how this is the usual where leaders decide for us which directions we will go as a people. It's not up to us. It is up to them. And wataamua tutaenda wapi, and then look for a platform to tell us where we are going. Ndo tufuate. We have no voice in this. But all those people speaking need to remember that this is what Raila Odinga has left you. This is his legacy, ODM party. He has left you 6.9 million people. There could be more. And you need to handle it well. You need to get your house in order and tell these people this is the direction we're going. Not for your own self-serving interests, but for the interests of those people. So this is very delicate. Hii ni legacy mchukue mwambie chukueni ndio hii. How you take it forward, as those leaders scramble there for who said what and said what where, will be very important kutueleza tunaelekea wapi, especially these 6.9 million people who voted for Raila in 2022.
That's an eye-watering number, and now maybe that's why we understand, you know, what the battle is for. Yeah. That's a huge number, and like you say, those are the ones who voted. You know, the support base is certainly larger. As we close, my closing thoughts on this is how, sadly, even the people who claim to be, you know, the proponents of devolution and a just and fair and equitable democracy that ensures that everybody gets what they deserve, are the people who are giving this idea that being in the opposition is a bad thing and is a bad name. So there's this clamor to go back into the center. We will either form government or be in government. It's being in the opposition is on the outside. And we've worked such a long way, including Raila Odinga himself, to move away from the siasa mbaya maisha mbaya. So if you're not singing the tune of the government, if you're not in government, then you don't get development, then, you know, funds don't come to you. So those words in the Constitution, funds follow function, that means nothing to these leaders because there is this clamor to be part of government. We will not allow you. In fact, William Ruto is the one who says at the present, mukue kule nje kwenye opposition. What is that? What are you saying? When the head of state says that, does this mean that this is how decisions are made as to allocation of resources and development of all parts of the country? This is where we are now, and this is being done by the proponents of this constitution that says it is the grassroots that decide, that moved us from a very painful past of where just standing up to critique the government meant that you would be out in the cold, no development, no hospitals, no roads. Those are the people who don't want to be in opposition. It's a bad thing. It's, you know, it's a dirty word, and it's, you know, it's for the pariahs and the lepers and, you know, who go out into the desert to go and wait to die.
Yet the hero of that moment
is
spent 45 years in public life.
Fighting for
only about 9 or 10 in government. 5 as prime minister. Could be less. About 3 in the first Kibaki government, less than 3, and about 1 in Moi's government, if I'm not mistaken on the numbers. He was an MP for 20 years, but the balance of that, he was in the opposition, really.
Right.
So I mean, let's not confuse issues, because when the same leaders have in the past called out Raila Odinga as leading Kibera to poverty,
Lord of poverty.
Lord of poverty. And blaming him for the underdevelopment.
Yeah.
Yet during that blame, they were in government.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to say there is a direct relationship between our first topic and the second topic. Yeah.
I think Yvonne, our first word summed it up. All these fights are meaningless. We have a constitution. It's our true north. If these are leaders who mean well for the legacy of Raila Amolo Odinga, then all that they're talking about is solved by this constitution. It's just to implement it. Doesn't require...
Perhaps start by reading it.
Exactly, and understanding it so that they implement it.
Yeah.
It will go a long way in solving the issues.
Yeah. It's a good place to...
Maybe just one rallying call from me.
Yeah.
To everybody who loved Raila Amolo Odinga. I'd encourage each and every one of them to plant a tree in memory of Raila Amolo Odinga. If you are so passionate and you realize the impact that Raila Amolo Odinga had in this nation, please plant a tree and grow it as well.
Yeah.
It would be a lasting memory for you to remember Raila Amolo Odinga.
It's a good place to end it. Thank you for watching the show tonight. Have a good night, everybody.
Watu wa Meru na Tharaka Nithi mko tayari? Jipange na Viusasa Roadshow iko ndani ya mtaa wako. Msafara wa Muga FM na Viusasa utaanzia Jumatano tarehe 22 hadi Jumamosi tarehe 25 mwezi huu wa 10. Ijumaa tarehe 24 tuanzia